Santa Fe and into the southern part of the state. A statement like this really should be made, that a blanket concept should be made, all events shut down, and it's my recommendation to all the producers, performers, whomever you are, if you've got an event coming up between now and the 1st of May, join us and everybody shut down, because that's the way we're going to keep our state healthy and all of our people alive. And so with that, I just want to say that it was really not right to be singled out in that fashion. That's why I'm appealing to all of you, the media, as well as to all the producers. Whatever your event is coming up in the next few weeks, starting this weekend, there's a lot of kids at the pit right now, and if we've got a problem, they need to address that ASAP, as well as they're doing everything else. The convention center this weekend is having an event. They're planning to have had a big truck event, monster truck event here. Everything that brings people into that close proximity, and all the events bring people of all ages, and we need to take concern with that. Folks, take care of yourselves, shut down, go inside, take care of your families, and we'll all get through this. We'll weather this storm, but we've got to do it together. We're a team now, everybody. It doesn't matter what you did, what your politics are, what your finances are. If you're worried about state budgets, we'll get back to that. There was a time when this state didn't have a dime, and we can still get through it because everybody did. Don't worry about it. We'll be there. So I'm going to turn it over to Melanie and then maybe Jim from the Hispano Chamber, and they've got something to say as well.
Good afternoon. My name is Melanie Matthews. I'm one of the coordinators for Gathering of Nations and the Miss Indian World Pageant. And the announcement made this morning by the governor at her press conference, while it is extremely prudent to take precaution, and now that we know that there are possible 3 confirmed cases of the virus here in New Mexico, there is no reason why every event should continue. Our state is small, our population is small, our communities are tight-knit. We all tend to interact, whether it's from the northern part of the state to the southern part of the state. The issue this afternoon is the fact that the Gathering of Nations was the only event that was singled out. Granted, she mentioned telling people, discouraging them from going to public events, going to church, going to any gathering where there'd be more than your family. It's not. There was no warning, there was no notice given to us prior to what happened on television. And it is shades of what has happened to our organization over the years. 4 years ago, the University of New Mexico canceled our contract. We found out about it on the television. So I don't want to call out anybody for the lack of respect to our event, but that's what it is. It's a lack of respect. And the thing is that Gathering of Nations is worldwide. People have planned their trip since last year, 2 years ago, however it is, and we don't have a problem in postponing this event. And we will have more information for everybody at a later time, but it is like trying to stop a train. You cannot stop it on a dime. There are so many layers, so many things that have to be coordinated, and people contacted, everybody from our sponsors, the people who purchased tickets, our vendors. We need to figure out a plan, and right now we just ask that the public be mindful of the fact that we still need to figure out what we're going to do, how we're going to go forward, what the date would be if we're postponing it, or what we're going to do. There's a lot of people to contact, dancers, performers, you name it. It's not just one particular thing to say it's stopped, boom. We have to have time to go forward, to figure this out, and to ensure that if this does happen again, that it goes forward in the level and the professionalism that we've always presented at this event, that we respect our cultural values and all of the other things that go into Gathering of Nations, as well as the fact that it is 3 of us. It's me and my family that produced this event, and it has been a hit, not just professionally, but personally to us, and that disrespect didn't just hit the organization and all the people that work with us, it hit us personally. So we just want to address that. I know that the city is going to take a huge financial hit. Gathering of Nations is enormous to the economy, but I think that dealing with the virus would be even worse in its transmission from person to person, and that's why we're okay with postponing this event. But at the same time, other events need to be considered for closure as well, because closing us does not prevent this event from going forward at a later date, but all other events need to go forward at a later date as well. State of New Mexico, like I said, is a small state. close-knit. There's a lot riding on our health and our safety, and in order to protect ourselves, we all have to look out for one another. And it was just very inconsiderate of a press conference at 11 o'clock this morning to not include us in prior discussions and conversation. I will turn it over to Jim Garcia with the Hispano Chamber of Commerce, who we work with very, very closely with Gathering of Nations throughout the year, and they've been a part of our organization for many, many years. I'll turn it over to Jim.
Thank you, Melanie. I really appreciate the approach the Matthews family has on this, that public safety is the foremost thing that we need to be thinking about this time. This is an amazing event. This Gathering of Nations has a direct economic impact of over $24 million to the city of Albuquerque. We are filling virtually every hotel in this city with people that are coming to the Gathering of Nations. 700 tribes are coming to Albuquerque for the largest powwow to celebrate, to sing, dance, and pray. And here we are. We have an emergency. We have a state of emergency called by the governor. The timing is right. We needed to do this. We agree with that. But I do agree that we should have this as a common effect for everybody, all the events and activities. This is going to have an enormous economic impact on every business, every restaurant, every hotel, everybody that has the ability to gather people around them. So I appreciate that the Matthews family is taking a stand on this early, that it's about protecting the citizens of Albuquerque and all the things that we have. But I want to reiterate that this event is going to be postponed. So the event will go on. We're going to schedule it at a later date. We also wish we would have had a lot more notice on this, coming in with everybody being able to be affected by this. It's really hard for us to take at this time. But for Albuquerque, we think this is the safest thing. At the Albuquerque Hispano Chamber, we are isolating our business right now, and we're making sure that we're going to help other businesses retool how they're going to be adjusting, making adjustments for the next month. So with that, we'll stand for questions.
I want to thank you guys again for coming out to me. My name is David Bear Shields. I work as a governmental liaison with the Matthews family and the Gathering of Nations. And it truly has become a disrespect, like the Matthews family had said. We hope that the government of New Mexico will consider that they would continue to allow them to be at the table with regards to any decisions with regards to canceling or postponing this event. And we just appreciate everything, and we want to open up some questions from our news stations to Melanie Matthews and to those that are here. We thank you so much for coming.
Derek, I wanted to ask you, I know there's a little confusion. Governor said postponed, or saying canceled. I mean, you said it's going to be virtually impossible to get people here, so can you just kind of reiterate that?
Cancel.
Let me do it.
Okay.
Yeah. In addressing that, like I said, Gathering of Nations is a train. You can't stop it. And what we're virtually going to do is try to bring it to a halt for the weekend in April that we had it scheduled for. Right now, we are going to say it is postponed to a later date. We got so many people to contact. They may still want to be here. There are so many people that have spent hours, years, and this is something that they have wanted to come to. Gathering of Nations is more than just an event. It is a spiritual happening. It is an educational event, but it does bring a lot of people from a lot of places where coronavirus is already very, very heavily affecting their communities. But saying postponed is what we're going to say right now, because we don't know. We may have to cancel, but we're not saying cancel right now because we still have a lot of people to contact and seeing what their dates of availability are. It really relies on those people, our staff that comes from out of town, the performers, the dancers. There's a lot that needs to be coordinated. In that time, we're going to say postponed until otherwise. We will let the media know, we'll let the general public know if we have come to another decision on that.
How long would it take you, if you postpone, how long would it take you to get that train rolling again?
Sure. Realistically, it's hard to give a specific time frame as to how long it would take to get things rolling. I will say this, there are a lot of other events that happen from now until the fall, so we'd have to look at a lot of calendars, not just what's happening in Albuquerque, New Mexico, but also in the powwow world on the Native American festival event trail as well. One of the things too is that you can't just call people and say, okay, we're going to another date. Got to be very careful on that, and we don't want to step on anybody's toes. And then the other factor is we don't know how long this virus is going to be a huge factor for the community. And I think that as long as we keep getting updates that there are more and more cases rampantly running around the country, we cannot say with any definitiveness when we would postpone. Right now, we're going to say postpone because there's a lot of things to look at. I know Coachella Music Festival has postponed until October. Some of the other festivals we've looked online around the world have postponed until the fall. So perhaps that might be something we would consider, is moving it into the fall. It really just is a lot of factors, but once we know, we'll let everybody know.
And I know that Derek had said, because when we had initially talked, we had said cancel, you were looking at a virtual experience, possibly an interactive experience. I mean, can you tell me a little bit more about that if we do decide to cancel, or will we
Well,
have that?
that's for the immediate, and that's the Gathering of Nations weekend. And what we plan to do is, so many people, they live for this weekend. This is, for Native people, the springtime is when life comes up, and gathering was that for a lot of people. So we don't want to lose that. We want to provide that. So we're going to try our best to come put our heads together with our team and see what we can do online in a safe way and still give people something for that weekend. What it is yet, we're still trying to figure that out. But a couple things that I want to talk about before we take any more questions. This year was going to be really special, as I mentioned, for Lita, that a 10-year celebration for a liver transplant. And we were bringing New Mexico donors and their recipients and all of that to be a part of this celebration, as well as a lady that's very well known in the powwow world from Newtown, North Dakota, originally from Saskatchewan. And she has had her second lung transplant. And she is in Phoenix recovering, and she was planning to, her first engagement to come out was to be at Gathering of Nations and try to dance again. And so we were doing all we could with her. And one more that came to us recently as well that we were trying to do was a Make-A-Wish for a young kid up in Oneida, Wisconsin. And this boy was born with a lot of problems, loves to dance. His main goal was to come to Gathering of Nations. The Make-A-Wish Foundation asked him, what would you like to do for your wish? He says, come to Gathering of Nations. He said, oh, that's too soon, we can't work on that. So the family got together and contacted us, came into, I think it's, they came together to see if what we could all do. They've got a GoFundMe out there online. They've been raising money. We contacted them, says, if you can get it together, we got it. We will bring that kid in and we'll make sure everyone knows what's going on with him. The problem there is that the reason they wanted to hurry up and get this done was because his life is in the sling that it's in. So they wanted to make sure that he got his biggest wish ever. And so that's as big a hurt as any. But really and truly, from my perspective, we've got to shut down everything. So it's an appeal out there for the media to carry the ball for us, and I'm talking to all the producers of every event, big, small. If you thought you were our rival, not, it doesn't matter. Let's be in this together and take it down a notch, and let's get ready for next time, because that's what it's going to take, and we want all of our attendees, whomever they are, we even want ourselves, the producers, to be able to be there. And we can't guarantee that we're going to be if we don't do something and be careful with our lives. So it's all about, you know, you go to a concert and they say, take care of one another. That's always a statement out there. Well, now we really have that to live by. And before I turn it over to anybody else for questions, something that comes to mind to me all the time is in a song by John Lennon. There's a line in there that says, life is what happens to you while you're making other plans. I can tell you that is absolutely the truth, because we were dead in and getting it together, and suddenly we're hit with something like this. So just take that for mind and take that to everybody's life, because we're all in that together, and let's do it. Let's make it happen.
To add to that about the Gathering of Nations weekend, which was April 23rd, 24th, and 25th, we are going to try to put together an online experience for those that really, truly, it's still our weekend, no matter what. So we will do something. We're going to produce some parts of the Gathering of Nations. We still, you know, we're an hour from knowing this of happening. So, you know, give us some time. We will make everything very public, very known as to what we're going to do. But we definitely are going to have a presence on our weekend. We're not giving up our weekend. It'll be virtual, since it can't be physical. And yes, you know, health and safety are utmost of importance, but Gathering of Nations will continue. Like I said, there's a lot of people that need to be contacted before we can determine whether we will cancel the event or not. So we will just leave it there, and if you have any other questions.
One more question for me. I mean, why do you guys think the governor singled you guys out, or you feel like she singled you
I think she singled us out, and this is solely my own opinion, is the fact that we are such a large event. You know, we're a mega event for the state of New Mexico, and perhaps we were the only one that came to mind. Although when you look at some of the beginning of the soccer season, they bring together an entire stadium full of people at the Isotopes Park. Baseball season is getting ready to start. There's a lot of conferences between now and then. There was a lot of fringe activities that may or may not have even came to the event, but they put their events on our weekend because they knew there'd be a lot of people. I just spoke to a few people from out of state who had conferences, national conferences that were scheduled our week, and they don't know what to do because they now have been blindsided. So without having a lot of information in front of us, we just are going to take some time and reach out to probably a lot of these other fringe activities and organizations and see what we can all do to work together, because really Gathering of Nations was a festival in Albuquerque. Every hotel is full. Restaurants are full, barbershops are full, you name it. I mean, the commerce that happened in this city was tremendous, and it is going to be felt. And of course, for our organization, we live for this event. It is our life's work, it's our life's blood. We breathe it, we sleep it, we eat it. And knowing that the consequences of this virus, once it hit New Mexico, most likely was going to be detrimental to the event to go forward. But we're going to do what we can do, and we'll call on the support. You know, it's a call of action to be with us, to support us, to get through whatever it is the next few months may present for us in doing so.
You talked about it a little bit, but was this on your radar? I know you found out an hour ago, but was it on your radar?
It definitely was on our radar. I don't think it could not be on our radar as far as the coronavirus and the fact that we were still incredibly hopeful that Gathering of Nations would happen because we didn't have any cases in New Mexico. We had worked with Expo New Mexico, and the New Mexico Department of Health had reached out to us, and we were really working as a team to figure out how we could have a safe event. Would we check people as they came in to see if, you know, whatever the criteria would be nationally for events and people going to public places. We were going to have hand washing stations. I mean, there was a lot that was going to be put into consideration to make sure that this event would be safe. One of the things about Gathering of Nations is that it's not all in Tingley Coliseum. We happen outside, so we figured that we would perhaps limit the number of people at any one time coming into the event and try to circulate people around the grounds to other areas and just make it as safe as possible. But right now, the safest thing to do is to postpone it, so that's what we will do.
You said it yourself, this is a mega event, and some would argue that this is right behind like Balloon Fiesta as far as biggest events in New Mexico. And for the governor to just kind of cancel it without even notifying you, giving you a courtesy, do you feel like maybe she owes you guys an apology or
Absolutely, the governor owes us an apology, and anybody in her office. As far as we know, no one was contacted. No one was contacted about this. Everybody heard about this as it was happening. And yes, it is disrespectful, and an apology does need to ensue. And I think that a conversation needs to happen very quickly so that we can mitigate all of the fallout that's going to happen from canceling or postponing this event. And you know, I'm using it interchangeably because we don't know. We're postponed, cancel, we will see. But yeah, it's very disrespectful that we were the only event singled out. As large as we are, I'm sure that if the Balloon Fiesta, if the virus was floating around New Mexico in October, more than likely and most definitely they would have been contacted and prepared to make a statement proper for what their next steps would be. So yes, this is entirely disrespectful and inconsiderate for our organization, and the fact that it's run by 3 people should not deter her from having a conversation with us, because this event is larger than us. We're the caretakers of this event. You know, we produce it, but at the same time, it's a community event for all Native people and for all people around the world. It's not just us.
Just to be clear, I don't know, Derek had told me you guys had received a call at 10:30 this morning from their office.
Unofficially, we received a phone call. It was not official from the governor's office, and it was not from the governor. This event should have garnered her to be on the phone with us directly.
So you guys kind of heard it as it was happening on live, like Facebook Live?
Just moments, yes.
One thing that I want to talk about real quick too is that all of you know that the Gathering of Nations was abruptly canceled at UNM. And the feeling that we got from that, as Melanie mentioned, we found out about that on TV I was passed out on the couch asleep, resting from the gathering that had just ended a couple days earlier. So when this comes up, we're still trying to get over that, and this comes about, it's the shades of UNM one more time. And so that hurts. We're lifelong, all of us here got college degrees up the gazoo from this state, and we've lived here, we've provided here, we've done a lot of things here, and not to get that kind of garnishment and respect. You talked about the gathering as being the second largest in the state. That's possibly could be said because it's 2.5 days. If we had 10 days, we would surpass the balloon fiesta based upon our numbers. So they need to get it right. They need to get it straight, who we are, what we do, and how valuable we really are.
Is there any more questions? We want to thank you guys for coming, and just remember that, because it is time for New Mexico to not just honor the Gathering of Nations, but the Native American tribes here. We're at the table, and they need to recognize that. There needs to be a public apology to the Matthews family and to this organization for this abruptness that has taken place without any notification whatsoever from Santa Fe. And we thank you guys for coming, and God bless you guys.